This video discusses using the Foster Forestry Prism tubes. Horizontal point sampling, bit-your-lick sampling, or prism cruising can save 50 to 75% of the time of fixed plots without any precision penalties. Foster Forestry Prism tubes come in a leather case with a belt loop on the back. Any one tube may fit metric BAF sizes 1 through 24. A silk cloth for removing fingerprints from prisms, a plastic clip, and a bamboo fabric lanyard for carrying the prism tubes are all included. Each tube has a plastic ring on the back which should be used to screw in or out each tube from the clip. Otherwise, the tubes are entirely aluminum with a raised step inside against which to place each prism from the large opening. A silver ring can then be held at the two gaps to screw in to secure the prism against the step. An aluminum cap can be used to put on the end of the tube with the Foster Forestry logo to protect the prism during travel between points. In addition to prisms, I recommend two additional tools for precise and fast forest inventories. Precision is particularly important for forest carbon inventories, as inventory data is infrequently, if ever, reconciled with pulp and saw timber mill scales. But before we get into these two pieces of equipment, why do I recommend prisms in the first place? It is true that Ireloscope, the instrument invented by Walter Bickerlich in the 1950s and still made in Austria, is the most versatile tool, but also the most complicated to use and the most expensive at nearly $2,500 US. An angle gauge, in contrast, is less expensive than the $70 to $80 US glass prisms and can hold up to 4 basal area factors instead of only 1 like the prisms. There are two advantages, however, to prisms over angle gauges, with the disclosure that I also manufacture prisms. First, big BAF subsampling for height requires a 4-time BAF, which is difficult or impossible to obtain with angle gauges, while my prisms range from 1 to 24 BAF. Second, as we shall see later in this video, my prisms may use tubes, which both allow cruising from point center like an angle gauge, and also, uniquely, allow the capture of photos and videos of offset trees for a digital historical record. One of the necessary tools to accompany prisms on an inventory cruise is diameter tape. Measuring tree bole circumference with a regular tape and then converting to diameter is likely to create errors. The other side of this diameter tape is distance. Either this tape or an ultrasound rangefinder, as shown later, can measure distance to determine if a borderline tree is in, that is, standing in meters, less than its diameter in centimeters, times the plot radius tree factor for the relevant prism BAF, as shown on these cards. Errors occur with informal methods, such as counting every other borderline tree, rather than measuring. A second expensive but useful precision tool is a Hageloff Vertex combined laser hypsometer and ultrasound rangefinder. The laser hypsometer is useful for height measurement. Just as important is the ultrasound rangefinder for distance measurement. Prisms have traditionally not been used in permanent points because of ingrowth, that is, trees growing into larger diameter classes, therefore changing point size and shape. However, permanent points or plots are often required for forest carbon projects. I am currently researching a distance variable approach to solve this ingrowth problem, which requires distance measurements for every in-tree. A vertex makes this distance measurement precise, fast, and easy. The first advantage of the Foster Forestry Prism tube is that the tube enables cruising from point center. Users often forget about holding the prism at point center and walking around the prism 360 degrees, thus creating errors. You can see me here training on prism cruising in mangroves. Next, you can see a user teaching others in Swahili how to prism cruise with the tube in an eye socket or at the end of eyeglasses while standing at point center.
North, you're starting from the north, Sema this is north. So you're supposed to start from north. You move 360 degrees. So unaangalia trees zenye ziko ndani kutumia tu prism. So ukitumia hii prism, ukisema umeanza na north, ukiangalia ni hii TV. So real image ni image utaona juu. Umeelewa? Na ile fake image ni image inapita, ni prism inatuletea. Sawa sawa, ni hii kiyoto inatuletea. So ukiangalia hiyo mti utaona image ni same, but utaona image yenye inakuja through the prism na kuna image inakuja through, but it's the same. So ukiiona uone inakuja mbili, ujue mti iko ndani. Umeelewa? But ukiangalia uone tu ni prism inaleta hiyo mti iko out. Sawa sawa. So tuseme una move nayo, tuseme hata kama umeweka kamera, so ukimove ukiangalia hivi utaona ni hiyo hapa kwa hiki utaona ni same image, but inaleta juu na chini. So kumaanisha hiyo mti iko ndani, so utahesabu 1.
Okay.
So ukianza una move. But sasa tulifika kwa hii tukiangalia, so hiyo kitu.
The second advantage of the Foster Forestry Prism tube is that the tube can capture photos and videos for the digital record. Here's a video of a 180-degree cruise of acacia trees. This first tree at 0 degrees is in, then these next 4 trees that are out, then the tree at 90 degrees is in, the next tree is borderline and should be measured, another 6 or 7 trees are out, then this tree at 180 degrees is in. Altogether, the total is 3 in trees and 1 borderline tree.